The Knights of Columbus Hostel fire occurred December 12, 1942 in St. John's, Newfoundland, killing 99 people and critically injuring over 100 others. The Knights of Columbus fire remains one of the top criminal mysteries in Newfoundland's history, and since it took place during World War II, the fire is believed by many to have been an incident of enemy sabotage orchestrated by the agents of Nazi Germany. During the Second World War, Knights of Columbus-sponsored hostels were built across Canada to help on the home front. Like the Knights of Columbus hut program during World War I, the hostels provided recreation and other comforts for servicemen. A Knights of Columbus hostel in St. John's, the capital of Newfoundland, was opened in December 1941 at a cost of about $100,000. The facility contained a reading room, restaurant, showers, dormitory, recreation room, and a large auditorium. The building was horseshoe-shaped, facing south, and covered entirely by a gabled roof. The main section was about 115 feet long and 38 feet wide, standing 2 stories high. At each end, a wing extended north from the rear of the main section, with a courtyard space in between the 2 wings. This hostel was considered the go-to place for a good time out, with large numbers of military servicemen frequenting the facility. The entertainment space was a large auditorium equipped with a stage for live performances and a projection booth for showing films. On the night of the incident, it's estimated that there were as many as 500 people in the hostel. Most of them were watching performances of songs by Uncle Tim's Barn Dance Group, which broadcast live each week from the hostel stage. Others were resting or relaxing in the servicemen's hostel. Shortly after 11 p.m., a member of the Newfoundland militia went upstairs to use the washroom. He mistakenly opened a closet and was met by flames. The wooden building burned quickly. At 11:07 p.m., officers patrolling outside the building reported seeing the sky lit up with fire. People struggled to flee the burning building, but the windows in the hostel had been boarded over and 4 exits had been blockaded to meet with blackout regulations. Additionally, these doors were only set up to swing inwards and not outwards, causing a crush of individuals to be clustered and unable to escape. Paper streamers that had been decorated for the event ignited and fell onto the crowd below. As the crowd struggled to leave the auditorium, the lights went out due to the fire, further adding to the panic. In a few areas, windows and doors were able to be smashed open, but in other areas, the patrons were trapped. In another chilling twist, the microphones from that evening's broadcast had been left on, and the sounds of the fire and trapped patrons was inadvertently broadcast to listeners at home. Fire engines were on the scene within minutes, but there's little that they could do. The blaze was far too intense. Despite the chaos, U.S. Army Corporal Raymond Hoosier entered the dark building and calmly began assisting people who'd been overcome by smoke inhalation. Constable Clarence Bartlett also entered the inferno and assisted with the rescue. The fire department was finally able to put out the majority of flames around 2:30 a.m., but spent the rest of the night putting out hotspots to prevent the fire from reigniting. Over the next few days, 99 charred bodies were recovered from the ruins. 80 of these victims were members of the armed services from Canada and the US, 12 women, as well as 10 victims that were too badly burned to be identified. Rumors began to fly that a Nazi agent had set the blaze. At that time, Newfoundland hadn't officially joined the Canadian Confederation, and the US was building a series of bases, including 1,600-acre Fort Pepperell, and thousands of American servicemen were stationed in St. John's at the time, making it a potential enemy target. In the preceding months, several German U-boat attacks had occurred elsewhere in Newfoundland. A Nazi U-boat had recently sunk 2 British freighters carrying iron ore, and just 2 days before, a Liberator aircraft had sighted and sunk a German U-boat which had surfaced in broad daylight. Justice Brian Dunsfield was appointed to investigate the fire. He examined 174 witnesses and concluded that the fire was suspicious. He stated, "I am of the opinion, though I cannot prove it at present, that the fire was incendiary in origin." He called it a classic case of the kind of flash fire that's built around a low-grade gas explosion. That, in my view, accounted for the great rapidity of the fire. It certainly looks as if an enemy agent was about. The investigation also showed several faults with the building's design and operation. A joint funeral for the 80 military victims was conducted, with thousands attending in their honor. U.S. Army Corporal Raymond Hoosier and RNC Constable Clarence Bartlett were both awarded for their bravery, with Bartlett receiving the King's Police and Fire Service Medal for his actions. This is the only one that was ever awarded to a Newfoundlander. In 1991, the Knights of the Columbus built a memorial to commemorate the event and the victims of the fire. And every year, the Knights are joined by members of the public to gather at the monument on December 12th, 11 p.m., to read the names of the 99 victims. No one was ever officially prosecuted for these events. However, if speculation was accurate, this fire would be amongst the only successful U-boat attacks on North America during the war.